Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today, we're tackling a question I suspect many of you might be asking. Is HCW Biologics a good time to buy right now? We've gathered some insights from recent reports, various analyses, trying to unpack what's making this company trend and, well, what you as an investor really need to know. Our goal today is basically to distill the key takeaways from these sources, helping you get up to speed quickly on HCW Biologics. And hey, if you find this discussion helpful, please remember to subscribe, like, maybe leave a comment. It honestly really helps us out. Also, if there's a specific company you'd like us to look into, just let us know in the comments below. And you can always consider buying us a coffee if you appreciate what we do. Okay, so let's get into it. HCW Biologics, they've certainly been making waves, showing up on a lot of radars in the biotech community. What seems immediately clear is there's this buzz around them, driven by what people are calling promising preclinical results. What exactly has captured attention here? What's the specifics?
Well, what's really fascinating is that these results, they're not just run-of-the-mill, they're for their second-generation immune checkpoint inhibitor.
Okay.
And it's specifically targeting solid tumors. Now, an immune checkpoint inhibitor, it basically, takes the brakes off the body's immune system so it can fight cancer better.
Right.
This area, cancer immunotherapy, it's huge. Incredibly high interest for researchers and, of course, investors. So the potential impact, if this thing works, could be massive in a really critical treatment area.
So that science potential is definitely part of the story. But digging into our sources, it looks like it's not just about the science. We're also seeing talk about its low float and the potential for a short squeeze. What does that tell us? What kind of attention is this stock attracting?
Right. That signals kind of a blend, doesn't it? You've got the genuine scientific promise, but also these more speculative market dynamics.
Speculative? How so?
Well, low float just means there aren't that many shares available for the public to trade easily. Think of it like a pressure cooker.
How?
Even a small amount of buying or selling can cause these big, rapid price swings. Makes the stock very sensitive.
Okay, I see.
And that kind of environment, it's often fertile ground for a short squeeze. That's where investors betting against the stock get caught. They're forced to buy back shares as the price rises, which, just pushes the price up even faster.
Wow, okay.
And our analysis definitely shows HCW Biologics has a history of this kind of volatility. So yeah, while the science is there, a chunk of the current buzz seems driven by traders looking for that squeeze, not just long-term investors.
That's a really crucial distinction to make, especially in biotech, where the innovation story is exciting, but the underlying financials, well, they're fundamental, aren't they? So what do our sources actually tell us about HCW Biologics' financial health? Or maybe, what are they not telling us?
Well, connecting the dots, they did put out a press release, August 18th, 2025, about their Q2 results ending June 30th. But here's the catch, and it's a big one for proper analysis. The info we have access to doesn't include the actual numbers.
No specifics, like revenue income.
Exactly. No revenue figures, no operating income, no net margins mentioned in what we've seen, so we can't really assess their growth or if their margins are improving or anything like that. It's like trying to judge a car's performance without seeing the dashboard.
Wow, okay. That's a major blind spot for anyone trying to understand the company properly. And in biotech, profitability can be way down the road, so things like debt and cash flow.
Yeah.
They become super critical, right?
So what do we know or not know about their liquidity, their cash situation?
Again, that detailed data on debt levels, cash flow trends, it's just not present in the sources we've reviewed for this. Now, there are no big red flags about financial distress screaming from the press release or SEC items we saw.
Okay, that's something. But not being able to confirm their debt ratios or figure out their cash runway, how long their current cash will last, that's a critical gap. For a biotech still in development, you absolutely need to know their cash burn rate and if it can fund their R&D. It really just highlights, the need to go straight to the source, their latest 10Q filing. You can find that on Nasdaq or the SEC's ADJR system for the real numbers.
Got it. So due diligence requires digging deeper than these headlines. All right, moving on to their market position. How does HCW Biologics fit into the competitive landscape? Is it crowded? Are they standing out?
Well, they operate in a very innovative part of biotech, but yeah, it's also intensely competitive. What's interesting, and maybe a bit of a caution sign, is that the reports we looked at suggest HCW Biologics isn't typically listed among the major competitors in similar SEC filings from other comparable companies. Yeah, you don't see them mentioned alongside names like Alavir, Lantern Pharma, or Fibrogen in those contexts. And our sources also say there's no clear evidence right now of a, transformative product launch or some super unique IP advantage being highlighted in recent filings. So it seems their ability to compete really hinges entirely on their clinical pipeline progressing and getting regulatory wins. But the details on that aren't fully fleshed out here.
So their competitive edge isn't clearly defined from this info. Makes it tough to gauge their position. Okay, so potential, yes, but lots of unanswered questions on the fundamentals and competitive side, which brings us to valuation. Without revenue or earnings figures, how do we even start thinking about metrics like PE for HCW Biologics?
Yeah.
Seems almost impossible with traditional methods.
You've hit on a key challenge for a lot of early-stage biotechs, actually. Our sources confirm it. No current PE, PS, or PB ratios are provided, which makes sense.
Okay, they're likely not profitable yet.
Exactly. They're usually burning cash on R&D, so earnings are negative. No E for the PE ratio. Now, for context, you might see emerging biotechs trade at PS ratios of maybe 5 to 10, but even that varies wildly. It's not a reliable benchmark here. What we do have is price action. The stock was trading at what? $0.28 end of January, then jumped to duly 76 cents in extended hours by July 2025.
Quite a jump.
Yeah, that movement itself tells you something about market interest, even without the usual valuation tools.
And given that lack of earnings data, I'm guessing traditional models like discounted cash flow, DCF, they're pretty much off the table here.
Completely, yeah. Our sources didn't find any DCF or relative valuation models applied. And crucially, without any forward earnings estimates, which you need for those models, you simply can't make a credible, data-backed valuation projection based on this information.
Right, can't discount cash flows you can't even guess at.
Precisely. It really pushes investors towards focusing on, other things, like sentiment, news, technicals maybe.
Okay, let's pivot to technicals then. For traders watching charts, what does that price action tell us, even if we don't have specifics like RSI from these sources?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting, especially for short-term players. Like we said, trading between 0.28 cents and 76 cents in extended hours as of July.
Yeah.
Massive jump in just a few months. That screams high volatility.
Not a slow burn.
Definitely not. It's the kind of rapid movement that attracts traders looking for quick profits. It really aligns with that speculative interest and short squeeze potential we talked about.
Makes sense.
Now, our sources explicitly state they don't provide data on moving averages, RSI, MACD, those common indicators. So for anyone trying to pinpoint precise support and resistance levels, which are vital for technical trading, they'd absolutely need to use charting platforms like TradingView or something similar to look at the history themselves.
So the volatility confirms the speculative angle.
I think that's a fair takeaway, yes.
Okay, beyond charts and fundamentals, recent news can be a huge driver, especially in biotech. What's been happening lately with HCW Biologics that investors really need to know about?
Oh, it's been quite the roller coaster for them on the news front recently. Definitely something to watch. On June 26, 2025, they actually received a notice from Nasdaq about a potential delisting.
Wow, okay, that's a major red flag.
Huge red flag. Delisting risk can crush a stock price, liquidity dries up. It's serious. However, just 2 days before that, on June 24th, they got confirmation from Nasdaq that they had satisfied the equity rule requirement.
So they met the requirement just before getting the notice, or regained compliance.
It seems they regained compliance, countering that immediate risk. But the sequence shows just how fluid and, frankly, risky their regulatory situation is. They're walking a tightrope with Nasdaq compliance.
That's incredibly dramatic, back-to-back like that. Almost dodged a bullet, it sounds like. What about analyst coverage? Or insider activity? Are the pros or the execs giving any signals?
Well, on the analyst front, our sources found no recent ratings, upgrades, or downgrades in the available info, so not much guidance there from Wall Street analysts.
Kind of flying under the radar for analysts then.
Seems that way. As for insider activity, we know there were multiple Form 4 filings through 2024 and early 2025. Those reports insiders file when they trade stock. Executives like Hing-Si Wang and Rick S. Green were filing.
Okay, so insiders are trading. But what kind of trading? Buying. Selling.
That's the thing. Our sources didn't summarize any major open market buys or large sells. And there wasn't any clear sentiment signal you could pull from social media or news about these filings either. So yes, insiders are reporting transactions as required, but the pattern described doesn't give a clear buy or sell signal from the information available to us. It's ambiguous.
Okay. So looking ahead then, what are the potential catalysts, both short-term and long-term, that could really move the needle for HCW Biologics? What should people be watching?
Short term, the big one is probably the next earnings report or any financial update. Investors will be desperate for those actual numbers after the last press release.
Right, filling in those gaps.
Exactly. And of course, ongoing Nasdaq compliance is critical. Any slip up there or positive news on that front will matter. Plus, any updates on their clinical trials. Longer term, it's the classic biotech catalysts, positive clinical trial results down the line, potential FDA approvals for their therapies, maybe strategic partnerships. But importantly, none of those specific long-term events are detailed or hinted at strongly in the recent filings we reviewed. And then there are the broader sector things, shifts in FDA policy, biotech funding trends. Those affect everyone, including HCW.
Makes sense. With all that potential, though, comes risk, especially here. What are the key risks investors need to have front and center if they're considering this stock?
Yeah, the risk profile is definitely elevated. Stock-specific, that Nasdaq compliance issue we keep mentioning is prominent. The recent near miss highlights it.
That looms large.
It does. Then there's funding risk. As an early-stage, likely non-profitable biotech, their ability to raise cash to keep the lights on and the research going is a constant concern. A tight capital market makes that harder.
Standard biotech risk, but still crucial.
Absolutely. Then you have market and sector risks. The whole biotech space faces regulatory hurdles, intense competition, and funding cycles that can swing pretty wildly. And don't forget, macro risks. Things like rising interest rates make it more expensive for companies like this to borrow or raise capital. It's a tough environment for cash-burning companies. It's a whole web of risks, really.
Okay, so bring this all together then. After looking at the science potential, the financials or lack thereof, the technicals, the news, the risks, what's the overall picture for HCW Biologics? Bottom line, is it a good time to buy now?
Based purely on the information available in our sources, HCW Biologics presents, well, a very high-risk profile currently. One analysis we saw actually gave it a rating of just 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10, that's quite low. Why?
It reflects that combination of unresolved issues we've discussed. The shaky financial picture, the lack of confirmed revenue growth, that recent Nasdaq delisting scare. Even though they're compliant now, it shows vulnerability. Plus, there's no clear competitive edge or compelling valuation advantage shown in these filings. And the technicals. High volatility, but maybe not enough solid support. The promising science is still very early stage.
Okay, so what does that mean for you, our listener, if you were thinking about HCW Biologics?
Well, for short-term trading, maybe.
Yeah.
But only if you are a high-risk speculative trader, someone who's really comfortable with extreme volatility and understands that ongoing regulatory and delisting risk.
Not for the faint of heart, then.
Absolutely not. It's basically a bet on sentiment and quick price moves for actual long-term investment. Our sources really don't recommend it right now because of those significant unresolved fundamental and regulatory risks. It's truly a high-stakes play. The information points towards needing extreme caution and a very high tolerance for potential losses.
That provides a really clear, albeit cautious perspective on HCW Biologics. It certainly underscores just how complex it can be to evaluate these biotech companies, doesn't it? Especially when the story is still unfolding.
It really does. And it just hammers home the point. Investors always need to try and consult the original company filings, like those 10Qs, and look at every angle, science, financials, regulations, before jumping in.
Don't just rely on the headlines.
Exactly. Understanding the why behind the numbers or the lack of numbers is just so crucial.
Absolutely. So what's the takeaway for you listening? It's a potent reminder, isn't it? Even stocks with exciting, promising preclinical results come bundled with a whole spectrum of financial, technical, and regulatory factors. They all demand careful, independent homework. Maybe something to think about is, how do you balance that lure of potential innovation against the hard realities of financial stability and market risk in your own investing? Definitely something to ponder. Thank you for joining us on Investing Talk Podcast. We look forward to exploring more fascinating topics with you next time.